But you read, there were some lines that expressed your philosophy. I don't know if you remember them or not.
Oh, I remember that. I
Let's
said,
hear.
this is what it is, okay?
You're talking to Longstreet, played by James Francesca.
I said, empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless, like water. Now you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put it in a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Now water can flow, or it can crash. Be water, my friend. Like that, you see?
No, I see. I get the idea. I get the power behind it.
You see, the idea is running water never grows stale. So you got to just keep on flowing. Listen, you see, really, to me, okay, to me, ultimately, martial art means honestly expressing yourself. Now, it is very difficult to do. I mean, it is easy for me to put on a show and be cocky, and be flooded with a cocky feeling and then feel like pretty cool and all that. Or I can make all kinds of phony things, you see what I mean? Blinded by it. Or I can show you some really fancy movement. But to express oneself honestly, not lying to oneself, and to express myself honestly, now that, my friend, is very hard to do. And you have to train. You have to keep your reflexes so that when you want it, it's there. When you want to move, you're moving. And when you move, you are determined to move. Not taking 1 inch, not anything less than that. If I want to punch, I'm going to do it, man, and I'm going to do it, you see. So, I mean, so that is the type of thing you have to train yourself into it, to become one with the, you think?
Yeah, this is very un-Western.
See, I mean, it's a combination of both. I mean, here it is the natural instinct, and here is control. You are to combine the two in harmony. Not, if you have one to the extreme, you will be very unscientific. If you have another to the extreme, you become all of a sudden a mechanical man, no longer a human being. So it is a successful combination of both. So therefore, it is not only, I mean, so therefore it's not pure naturalness or unnaturalness. The ideal is unnatural naturalness or natural unnaturalness.
Yin yang, eh?
Right, man. Not really. I mean, most of them, you see, to me, at least the way that when I teach it, all type of knowledge ultimately means self-knowledge. Mm-hmm. So therefore, they are coming in to, and ask me to teach them not so much of how to defend themselves or how to do somebody in. Rather, they want to learn to express themselves through some movement, be it anger, be it determination, or whatsoever. So in other words, what I'm saying, therefore, is that he is paying me to show him in combative form the art of expressing the human body. Well, then, baby, you better train every part of your body. And when you do punch, now I'm leaning forward a little bit, hoping not to hurt any camera angle. I mean, you gotta put the whole hip into it and snap it and get all your energy in there and make this into a weapon.
I don't want to
Actually, I do not teach, karate because I do not believe in styles anymore. I mean, I do not believe that there is such thing as like Chinese way of fighting or the Japanese way of fighting or whatever way of fighting, because unless human beings have 3 arms and 4 legs, we will have a different form of fighting. But basically, we have only 2 hands and 2 feet. So styles tends to not only separate man, because they have their own doctrines, and then the doctrine became the gospel truth, that you cannot change, But if you do not have styles, if you just say, well, here I am, as a human being, how can I express myself totally and completely? Now, that way, you won't create a style, because style is a crystallization, I mean, that way, it's a process of continuing growth.
I'm talking to Bruce Lee, mainly about the Chinese martial arts, which include things like Chinese boxing, karate, and judo, which is what he taught when he was in Hollywood. After he left the University of Washington, where he studied, of all things, philosophy, if you can believe that. He did, but that, perhaps you understand why he the two go together from the first half of this program.
It's like water. Why? Because water is insubstantial. By that I mean you cannot grasp hold of it. You cannot punch it and hurt it. So be soft like water and flexible.
I see your talents have gone beyond the mere physical level. Your skills are now at the point of spiritual insight. I have several questions. What is the highest technique you hope to achieve?
To have no technique.
Very good. What are your thoughts when facing an opponent?
There is no opponent,
And why is that?
because the word I does not exist.
So, continue.
A good fight should be like a small play, but played seriously. A good martial artist does not become tense, but ready. Not thinking, yet not dreaming. Ready for whatever may come. When the opponent expands, I contract. When he contracts, I expand. And when there is an opportunity, I do not hit. It hits all by itself.
And that the only litmus test of a combative technique's worth is whether or not it can be landed effectively on an opponent. Anything that's ornamental is discarded from his style. He retains only those techniques that he himself has determined to be practical in real self-defense situations. Lee is the first martial artist in North America, if not the world, to have his students don boxing gloves, headgear, and body protectors and spar all out. Nothing is rehearsed, no punches are pulled, and full contact, reality-based martial art is the order of the day. In 1967, Lee introduces the concept of full contact sparring at the International Karate Tournament in Long Beach, California. Defense is not emphasized in his new reality-based method, as this would be allowing one's opponent to set the tone and tempo in a real fight. Instead, the focus of Lee's new approach to combat is on attack, or more precisely, on intercepting the opponent's attack with an attack of one's own.
With all of his underlining and his notes in them, and it's fascinating to see where he drew his sources from, from what sources he drew. He's got books on Western fencing at home that he would use, on boxing. I remember he always used to say that you want to try and absorb what is useful, discard what is useless, and add what is essentially your own, and that was kind of his credo in creating Jeet Kune Do. Made a point at the time that he was training that there were a lot of martial artists who weren't paying enough attention to their instrument, and certainly the instrument of the body is what you're going to be using in your practice of the martial arts. So I think it's very important to keep up the tempo, so to speak.
I'm interested in that point you reach where you actually fail from exhaustion at something, whether it's a weight training exercise or a cardiovascular exercise. I'm interested in seeing just how much that point is a physical point and how much it's a mental point. And so that's what I do. I jump a lot of rope, I run, I ride a life cycle. I much more prefer to go out and actually ride a bicycle or run and see some scenery. And then I work out down at the academy, which is on some levels a very cardiovascular workout. Some of the classes I take, like the Muay Thai kickboxing classes, a hell of a cardiovascular workout. Yeah. And then some of the classes are more technique oriented, so you're not huffing and puffing so much as you are just learning individual techniques. And then I work out at the weightlifting gym, where I do 2 body parts a day, pretty much, and then I break that up occasionally, so I do like back and biceps on one day, chest and triceps on another day, or something else, and delts and legs on the third, or something like that. And it was just switch it. I found that was generally the best thing to do, whether it was with a high weight or a low weight. And what I understood the process to be was that working with heavy weights would build mass, whereas working with low weights was intended to build like density and really carve out the muscle a lot more. And since I personally have never been interested in getting large as much as just getting cut, I tended to work with a lower weight. But then to me, getting cut is also mostly a question of vascularity. It has to do with how much body fat you're carrying. So I've always done a lot of cardiovascular work because But that's also real world power too. I mean, I suppose it's good if you want to pick up heavy objects that have large muscles, but cardiovascular stamina is something that seems to come in handy a lot more often than a large muscle would. You go down to the academy and you try and do a 3-minute round on the Thai pads, and I don't care how big your muscles are, if you don't have a real good cardiovascular system, you're going to be dead in about 45 seconds, and I'm still going to be going.
Had to shoot it, they had to overcrank and shoot it in slow motion because otherwise it just looked like a special effect when he moved. I mean, the man was fast. He was deadly fast. I've really never encountered anyone in all of my training since who was as fast.
You can certainly train for speed. I think that training for speed is, number one, it's a genetic factor. Yeah, certainly. There are some people who are just gifted. They are fast naturally. But I think training for speed, on the whole, is a question of muscle memory. Speed in an individual movement is something that, I mean, we're coming down to, thousandths of a second now. If you and I, or even if I and some completely untrained person were to stand side by side facing a focus pad, and when a red light blinked, both flick out a jab, I'd probably win by a couple hundredths of a second. But once you're talking about speed with repetition of movements, to be able to go like that, that's muscle memory. An untrained person would be like, they would falter in their movements because they haven't trained their muscles, or they haven't trained their perception as well to be able to react quickly to a variety of different circumstances.
Martial art is even system, Mr. Longstreet, nor in method. And without system, without method, what's to teach?
But you had to learn. You weren't born knowing how to take apart 3 men in a matter of seconds.
True, but I found the cause of my ignorance.
Well, help me find mine.
Your instincts are right. Sound. Any sound is enough. One throw, one kick, until you can put combinations together without even thinking. Until you have to keep moving and to endure. Hire a bodyguard or lead a less aggressive life. Don't charge him blindly. You've got to listen. Listen. Smoother. Well, your head and body are still not one.
Well, when will they get together?
Once more!
There.
No! Your thoughts are wrong.
Look, I'm trying to learn how to fight, not how to think.
May it be well with you, Mike.
What is this thing you do?
In Cantonese, Jeet Kune Do, the way of the intercepting fist.
Intercepting fist, huh?
Or foot. Come on, touch me. Any way you can. You see? To reach me, you must move to me. Your attack offers me an opportunity to intercept you. In this case, I'm using my longest weapon, my sidekick, against the nearest target, your kneecap. This can be compared to your left jab in boxing, except it's much more damaging.
I see. Well, speaking of a left jab...
Oh, this time I intercept your emotional tenseness. You see, from your thought to your fist, how much time was lost. No. Don't just move for the sake of moving. Relate to me, relationship. You're where? Well, agile. Now open it up a little bit. Feel the wind blowing. Ah, the bird. You hear the bird chirping?
Yes.
Oh, very good. Now, let it flow. Open it up. Kick with it. Yes! Now, how did it feel to you?
Like, I didn't kick, it kicked.
Terrific. Now, once more. You are not ready.
I know.
Like everyone else, you want to learn the way to win, but never to accept the way to lose. To accept defeat, to learn to die is to be liberated from it. So when tomorrow comes, you must free your ambitious mind and learn the art of dying.
Bruce Lee is gone, but his spirit lives on. This is Bruce Lee, the legend.